Okay, now let's move ahead to the third part of lesson 5, okay? And in this part, we are talking about the strategies, okay? We are talking about, well, the strategies, everything is strategic. Strategies of penetration in foreign markets. Let's reach to an agreement. From now on, I'm going to call these strategies of penetration entry modes, okay? Calling them entry modes, we will distinguish them from the competitive strategies in global markets. You know, the global strategy, transnational strategy, da 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 da. So everything is a strategy here, a strategy in the morning, a strategy in the afternoon. Okay, no. Let's call this entry modes. Okay, entry modes. It's going to be a bit more clear. Well, in order to enter a foreign market, we have to carry out two steps. First of all, choosing the country, the target country, and then choosing the entry mode. In order to choose the target country, well, the selection of a country is obviously critical, it's important, especially the first time when you are entering a foreign market. We have to take into account two main things. Well, first of all, something about the target market. The target market, what do we have to consider? The size. By the size, we don't mean the size of the market, because if it was just that, everyone would try to open the Chinese market. Many firms do, but in fact, it depends on the kind of company you are, the kind of industry you are into, the strategy you are following, and so on. So you have to consider the number of potential customers. Obviously, the number of potential customers is related with the number of people in the country, but also the people of the country who like your product, who could want to access your product, and so on. Okay? So imagine that you sell pianos. Okay, it could be possible, I don't know if it's real or not, that the number of piano players in, let us say, Germany is higher than the number of piano players in India, being India much bigger. And I don't know, I am inventing the fact, okay? But it could be possible. So maybe your market, your target market, is rather one which is theoretically smaller, but your potential customers are more. Okay, what else? The macroeconomic conditions of the country. This is obvious, and I don't think there's much to be explained. The expected growth of the markets, the potential of that market, because it's not the potential customers today, but the potential customers in a given number of years, and so on. Finally, the country risk, the risk that the country is creating. There are two parts of the country risk. The economic risk, well, in the last economic crisis, which started in 2008, some countries were hit harder than some others. Spain was hit hard, but Greece was hit harder, and so on. Well, this economic risk has to be considered, okay? And also the political risk of the country. The political risk of the country is the potentially local reaction against your firm. And it can be translated into many different actions, into any kind of sabotage against your firm, or just demonstrations against your firms, or just well, something even more complicated, and it's that the local authorities, the authorities of the country, try to create your problems, or even in the long run expropriate your positions in that country. This is called political risk. Okay, all of this is part of political risk. Second thing, how our firm fits. How our firm fits that country. Well, the need you have or not to adapt the product, the potential cultural differences between your original market and your new markets, if there are cultural differences or not, the competitive conditions of the local market, if the competitive pressure is really high for the industry you are trying to enter, or if there are not many local competitors, so there's a place and a space for your company to enter, okay, and the management needs that you may have. And in order to deal with that management needs, let me ask for a leap of faith, because this is the thing we are going to deal with in the fourth part, okay? So, considering all of this, we have four main entry modes we can consider, which are exportation, cooperation, direct investment through joint venture, so sharing the direct investment, and direct investment doing it yourself. I mean, individually, independently, not cooperating with any other firm. Okay, so well, let's move to the thing. So exportation, first of all, what's the meaning of exportation? Exportation means selling abroad. Just that. You produce home, you sell abroad. There are two main ways of exportation. It could be direct, it could be indirect. You can do it just selling abroad and someone else deals with the product and tries to sell it, okay? Or you could create a subsidiary of sales in the destination country in order to distribute your product. In the second case, you are going to have a bit more control of the local market. You create your own import company in the destination country. Which are the pros of exportation? First of all, do you remember that one of the reasons for internationalization was using underused capacity? Well, imagine that your plant is working at a 60% of capacity. So you say, okay, no, let's work at a 90% of capacity, let us produce more, and so long as there's not enough place in our current market for this product, let's sell it abroad. This is one possibility. Also, if you export, there's no country risk, or you are not facing directly the country risk. What's the meaning of this? Well, you are not there physically, you haven't got facilities there, so if there's any problem in the target country, you just cease to sell your products there. So the country risk is clearly lower or inexistent, okay? Also, related with the underused capacity, you can gain economies of scale, experience effect. Well, you are increasing your production in the same plants and so on. Which are the cons? Well, there are many costs. Obviously, the logistics. I mean, you have to transport your product. Do you remember the example we gave about Jack Daniels? Okay, this Jack Daniels Tennessee whiskey has to be moved to the different countries and places wherever they want to sell it. So the cost of transportation increases. Okay, there are going to be tariffs, or there could be tariffs, depending on the product. Okay, so, well, also, are you sure that your products are going to be offered your way? What do I mean by this? What I mean is that, well, if you sell your products abroad and you don't have your own import-export subsidiary in the destination country, if it's another company who does it for you, are your products going to be offered in the way you would like, in the section of the shop you would like, and so no, you are losing control over your products once there's another company who does it for you and it's not cooperating and so on, okay? So when is exportation specially indicated? Well, first of all, if you're a small company, you don't have many resources, so it's more or less typical, okay? If you're a newbie in this kind of entering foreign markets, this is your first foreign experience and it's about selling your products, okay, it's easier, okay? I am not saying that all newbies should do this or that this is the only alternative, but this is especially recommendable if, okay? If you are afraid of the target market, I mean, if you don't want to face country risk. Second, we have got cooperation, for instance, international franchise agreement. So you can, for instance, use a master franchisor in the destination country. This is something that McDonald's does in many countries. They have got companies like Arcos Dorados in many South American countries, which are in fact the master franchisors for the local franchisees. So you cooperate with a local firm who deals with the local distribution and growth of the company and so on. Okay, which are the pros? First of all, the resources you gain from your local partner. For instance, local knowledge. You don't have local knowledge, but your partner has got local knowledge. Some other potential resources, the space, some facilities, the people, the right people, okay? Maybe they have got and maybe you don't have because you have your own local people, they have their own local people for that country. Also, you need less investment. Why? Because you share the investment with a local partner, okay? Then, the cons. Well, you are going to lose definitely control or some control over your local operations. Why? Because it's your local agent which will have. Okay, then you have to choose the right partner. And if you make a mistake, your partner is going to learn from you. And maybe in some years, your local partner will want to eliminate you from the equation. Okay, so you have to choose the right partner. And finally, it's difficult to have a globally coordinated strategy. It's difficult to have a globally coordinated strategy because in one country your local partner is doing something, in another country you have got another local partner, Okay, so this strategy is highly recommendable if you want to adapt to local needs because you have local partners to help you. If you are new in the country and you are missing knowledge and local flavor because your local partner has got it, and if you want to save money or you haven't got much money because the local partner will put some of it, okay? Will share the investment. Well, another possibility is creating a joint venture, an international joint venture. As you know, a joint venture is a company which is owned by two different parent companies. An international joint venture is a joint venture where one of the partners is local, from the local market. So you, the foreign company, are creating a joint venture with a local firm. Okay? Again, your local partner has local knowledge. You are sharing risks with the local partner, and this local partner has got know-how, local know-how. Okay, and in some countries, let me tell you, you cannot choose. For instance, in Cuba, when you want to establish a new hotel, you need to create a joint venture with the Cuban government. So it's going to be participated by both, by the foreign company, which has got the knowledge about the industry, and the local government, which imposes this possibility. Sometimes, in some of the countries, the local government doesn't impose you the joint venture with a local government, but with a local firm. Okay, sometimes it's not with the government. No, it's not statalized with a local firm. Which are the cons? Well, again, as in cooperation, the local partner will learn from you. And maybe one day or another you are going to be redundant in this business. There could be differences of goals and needs between the local partner and the foreign partner. And finally, again, as in cooperation, it's more difficult to have a globally coordinated strategy because you have got different local partners which have got different goals, the joint ventures are different from each other, and so on. This is highly recommendable when you are willing to share risks, because you are going to share risks, when you are looking for capabilities that you may not have but the local partner may have, and obviously this is highly recommendable if you are obliged. In the countries where you have to do this or nothing, you do this. This is obvious. Finally, we have got the direct independent investment, doing it yourself. There are pros, there are cons. The pros, you have got complete control over your operations in all of the countries. No one will get your knowledge because you are not sharing your knowledge with anyone. And obviously you can easily develop a global strategy if you need it. Okay? But on the other hand, you're assuming all the risk, the country risk, the economic risk. You are assuming all the investment, so it's expensive, and you may miss local flavor because you don't belong to those countries. If you don't care about local flavor, no problem. But if you need local adaptation or you care about local adaptation, maybe you don't know much things about the local. Okay, this is highly recommendable if you're self-confident. I mean, you think you have got the resources and capabilities it takes to carry out this activity abroad. Also, if you are differentiated, in order to protect your differentiation and in order to reply your differentiation in many different countries. And this is also useful if you're a giant. I mean, you have got many resources, many capabilities, a lot of financial resources and cash and so on. So in fact, if you don't need this help, okay, even if you don't need this help, you can use the previous options, obviously. But if you don't need, well, this is a good option for you, and not especially for those who haven't got these resources and capabilities. Okay, now we are still missing the management differences of these international firms. But let's keep a bit of mystery.